All right, guys, welcome to Strong Principles. I am Rob Delacruz.
I'm Larry Medina.
And I'm Zach Breck.
All right, so on today, we're going to talk about low intensity training and some of the benefits of it, and then why you want to incorporate it in there. Because all often we see in our classes and just dealing with individuals is that they always gravitate to the higher intensity. And the issue is like they feel like the low intensity is not doing much for them. It's almost like a waste of time.
So low intensity meaning like not boot camp style, obviously, but does it mean like lower reps but higher weight type of work, or what does that mean?
No, I would say more like we're going to gear it more towards the conditioning
It's more
part.
aerobic base building, not as much strength.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's
Yeah,
what
we're going to gear this one a little more towards that.
All right.
What we're talking about. And like I'm talking about more like you hear like a zone 2, but there's a method, it's called the cardiac output method, which is like moving through, and it could be strength exercise, but you're moving through it at a certain pace, at a lower RPE, a lower rate of effort, at a certain heart rate. But you're doing it for a continuous amount of time. And it could be in intervals, but there would be like a bigger, longer 10-minute interval, 7-minute, 15-minute interval, something like that.
Give me an example.
So let's say we have 1,000 meters on a rower, 200-foot farmer's carry, lightweight, really light sled push, 1,000-meter ski.
So like let's say a rower,
Easy,
right?
easy effort. Not very high effort.
So you're not trying to kill yourself.
Yeah.
No. So basically like
it could be anything. It's just at a lower effort.
Got it.
It could be anything. It's just at a lower effort. And you're just continuously moving around. Now, I like using conditioning machines because they're like concentric only. But sometimes we will throw in kettlebell swings, carries, some push presses. But you got to remember, once you start throwing in exercises that the body starts moving around and there's like external like loads on it, then heart rate jumps up and down. But you're moving through things for a period of time. What ends up happening is when we program it, a lot of times people tend to do it really intensely for 45 minutes. And that is not the intent.
So how do you control that?
It's tough because we're not like the police and people don't listen. If you're not listening, you're not listening. But this is the thing. When you're doing low intensities, it's a base building.
Yeah.
So it's building a bigger aerobic base. So it's teaching your body how to operate for an amount of time. It totally does something different to the heart comparative to what intensity does once the heart rate's at a certain. You also want to think is like, what did I do during the week? Hey, we did something intense here. We've been lifting heavy. We're doing this. It's much more restorative. So what's happening is you go and you change that and you make it real intense. Now you are taking away from the day before and the day after, and you possibly could set yourself back in a hole. So it could be setting yourself back further and not getting the benefits of increasing what you're working towards.
Is it good to think of it as a active rest?
It's not actually an active
Not
rest.
an active rest. Yeah, that's
It's a
great
base
question.
building. Active rest would be even moving slow, doing
Maybe more
some
like
mobility.
a zone 1.
Yeah.
So this is more zone 2. So zone 2 increases your body's ability to use oxygen. And actually what you see oftentimes is bodybuilders oftentimes do zone 2 because it actually has a better fat burning effect, a good mitochondria effect too, powerhouse of the cell, helps you use energy better, and then use oxygen better. So when you're moving at those really high zones, your body's not learning to get better at using oxygen. Your body's not learning to get better at using energy. Again, it kind of goes back to that. You're more so testing what you already have. You're expressing what you already have. So zone 2, if we're correlating it to strength work, it's kind of more along that accumulation phase than it is intensification phase, like we talked about in 2 episodes ago. And so zone 2 is really good aerobic base building. So it's not an active rest.
Okay, 'cause active rest would be like a walk.
Correct. Active rest would fall into your program on a day off. Zone 2 needs to be a part of the actual program itself. So active rest would just be a rest day. We don't want zone 2 to be your rest day. We don't want to think of it like that. It needs to be a part of the program.
Yeah, and it's going to be like, because it like the cardio output method, it's going to be the cardiac output method. It's going to be the zone 2, zone 3. You're going to like kind of move around there. So you're putting in some effort, but it's not high effort. And so what it does is it allows you to move for a long period of time. And once you start going past certain periods of time, you're really starting to build up a good aerobic base.
So when you do zone 2, are you looking to go just longer rather than like a short, intense?
Correct. You're looking at, I would say minimum for like some people 20, but more like 30 to 40 minutes continuously or accumulated. And what I mean, like 10 minutes straight, 2 minutes off, 10 minutes straight, 2 minutes off, 10 minutes, but you accumulated 30 minutes of that like pace effort.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that being.
I mean, we run into it. It's tough trying to get people. We put down the specific of like, hey, and they just go crazy.
So good example. I remember when I first started training here when I was really young, I played football growing up. So everything I did was high intensity. I had a really high outburst, and then my conditioning was horrible. So you put me in these long workouts and I would just suck, you know? And then Rob was like, we're going to hop on a bike for 20 minutes and then you're going to keep this wattage. And it's like, this is hard. Like, it's hard for me to stay within this zone. But what happened over time, my conditioning got better from just following zone 2 than it would from just doing the high intensity stuff. Like, it gets way better.
I can tell you, like, I got the Rogue bike like a couple years ago, and I got it immediately. I'm just like, I'm just going to Tabata every day. And so I was doing the Tabata, and
that's a 20 second on, 10 second off.
Yep. 8 rounds roughly.
Yep.
Right. And so it's just one of the buttons. And so that was the workout I was using. And with that workout, I would be dying at the end of every workout. Yeah. But then like one day I'm like, you know what, let me just go ahead and stick at about 200 watts. Just jump on and just like, you know, man, like 5 minutes later, I was as beat as doing the Tabata.
Yeah.
But it's because I wasn't stopping. I was just going. And like, it wasn't like I was dying yet, but I could see at like 10, 15 minutes. I did about 20 minutes that day. I remember that specifically because I remember thinking like at 10 minutes, I wanted to quit. Like, I just wanted to quit because a couple reasons. It was boring.
Yep.
But then also like my lungs weren't there either.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird, you know, but I could tell like my heart wasn't going crazy, but I was just like, oh man, like I was kind of dying, you know?
And it can be really boring, but this is why a good programmer, like, you can make it not boring. So how about I go ahead and I have 3 different machines and we move just at that pace continuously for like a minute on each machine. Before you know it, you're at 30 minutes. You never sat on one for very long. You had different like stimulus from each machine. It didn't get boring. You know, there's so many ways to go ahead and like kind of like deal with that of the boring. Yeah, if I stayed on one machine for freaking 30 minutes, my back would get tired.
Right.
Yeah.
I prefer the one machine now. As you get as you get further along, you're just like,
plot twist.
I'm just trying to stay in zone 2. I'm just gonna hop on a machine and stay in zone 2 for the entire time.
The conditioning machines like rowing, biking, running, not so much unless you're a really good runner, skier and that type of deal. Those are easier to like kind of stay within that realm of effort.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of see those and you understand the efforts that you're going to, and then they're concentric movement only. So they're only going one way, but you can mix other stuff in, not to make it so boring too. You just got to kind of be careful. But the thing is, it's very restorative. So like your nervous system, let's say you already did an intense workout, conditioning workout earlier, you're lifting some heavy weights, and now this is supposed to be a restorative day, and you go and you crush yourself. So now we got another day coming up. Like, you've taken away, there's only so much ability to recover you have. So you start pulling more from it, you're going to get less from every workout. And I see that constantly with people. They'd be so much better off listening and doing what they're supposed to with like that kind of restorative work than they would be going and putting a higher effort. So now when it's time to go higher effort, there's not much there.
Yeah. And making it more fun or making it more involved, we should say, like fun, or throwing in different movements like a farmer's carry or kettlebell swing or like sled push. It can make your movement patterns a little bit better too, you know, because then you're slowing it way down. You're really focused on your technique with everything. It's not going to get you stronger, but you can get better movement patterns. So that's also a benefit of kind of mixing it up like that.
And there's ways you can do that. I've done so much in programming and exploring, is that There can be a part that is a little intense. Then there's a part that's much more like zone 2 oriented, like cardiac method, more of a like certain percentage pace. Then, I mean, you could kind of like toy and move things around a lot too.
So what would you say, Rob, is the best way? So like say you have somebody who wants to do some zone 2 work. What would be the best way for them to know that they're in zone 2?
Well, to know that you're in zone 2 would be heart rate. Yeah. Zone 2, or because it's going to be zone 2, zone 3, and it's going to be called the cardiac output method. It's a specific method for you to move through things for ability amount of time. Okay. That is going to look a certain way. A heart rate monitor is the best, but the other one is being able to talk.
Yeah.
You should be able to have a conversation almost the whole time. And if you're doing some exercises in there that are going to get you out of breath, knowing that you're doing them, and then you're calming yourself down right away after that.
So those are some good indicators.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that. Now, one last question. Do you ever throw weights into the zone 2?
You can, but wait, you got to remember, once you start moving around, like even like body weight, blood pressure starts moving around a lot. So once blood pressure starts moving around a lot, it's going to send a different signal for like the way that heart is adapting.
Yeah. You got to be really careful with your movement selection. A clean and jerk is going to do much different than a farmer's carry will or a light sled push will, and how that's going to affect the heart rate.
Yeah. So the way I'm trying to think of like the best way to explain it. So like zone 2 and certain efforts, your heart's pumping over and over. So it's only going so much. Higher efforts cause the heart to really fill up heavily. Those are two different things. It's kind of like the difference between lifting weights and then doing conditioning. Like, so one of them is really thickening the walls and getting it real strong and then pumping down. And the other one's continuously working it and having beats per minute go at a certain rate. And it's adapting to that.
It's using oxygen better too.
Correct.
Yeah. And I mean, just thinking this through, right? Like even in a zone 2 versus a zone 4, right? Because
totally different.
Yeah. So if you're a new, I honestly feel like if you're brand new into this game of fitness, you might be better off just starting off with zone 2 to get yourself ready. It's almost like doing the squat, right? You may want to start with a box squat rather than doing a acid
It's
rest.
all dependent, like how many days a week you're working out. Let's say you're doing 4 days a week. You got 2 strength days, 2 conditioning days. One day will have a little more intervaled, maybe a little more intensity. And the other day, I would suggest going a little more continuously, zone 2 / output method.
It needs to be in that program. You don't have to leave out the higher zones. Like you don't have to be like, all right, so you're new. We're just going to do zone 2 and that's it. You don't have to leave it out, but it definitely needs to be in there. And there's an argument to make that maybe like, okay, so maybe you can work out more times a day, or maybe you can go for a walk or a light jog and be in zone 2, then maybe that would be 2 to 1. There's an argument for that, but you don't have to leave out the higher intensity stuff.
And one thing you want to remember, like with those zones and like going from aerobic to anaerobic, there's not like a switch. It's like one dial goes boom. It doesn't. They're kind of like they all work within the range together. Yeah.
Okay. So we use RPEs a lot too.
Yeah.
For
efforts.
That. Yeah. Rate of perceived exertion, or rate of perceived efforts. And so,
so
zone 2 would be RPEs like 3, 4.
Yeah.
And then your higher rate of perceived exertions, obviously you're getting in a higher zone.
So yeah,
if you don't
like
have a heart rate
2
monitor,
to 3 would be like 2, and then you start getting higher. But the thing is low intensity work will help with the high intensity because it's building a bigger base, and high intensity will work with the lower intensity, but it's still not the same as training them individually.
Yeah.
Too.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, so key takeaways, basically, you know what your indicators are for if you're in zone 2, and zone 2 should basically be in every single program. You should have some work in it. Yeah,
and listen to the lower intensity work because it's much more restorative, and there's usually reasons why it's programmed in. If we thought that it was better to do on higher intensity, then it would be there, sitting there.
All right, so real quick, there was an app way back in the day that was kind of cool, and I feel like this would be like a zone 2-ish. It was like it was an app where basically you were listening to it, and it was for running specifically, but it was like zombie apocalypse.
Yeah,
and it would be talking to you as you're walking, and it would be like zombies are coming, and then you got to run for like whatever, and then it'd be like, all right, you're in a safe spot now, and you can walk. And it was kind of interesting to have that kind of
Like tech.
narrative and like talking to you.
Because there's some tech out, not to go too much longer, but there's some tech out like heart rate variability, and that is telling you like, hey, you're doing too much effort. Your body's not able to calm down. You're kind of like pushing it too hard. But there's more tech that's coming out that we're seeing, and I'm kind of like reading about, that is going to tell you right away when you go and you do a workout, like, oh, that was beneficial. Like, oh man, you just put yourself down further. So we're seeing that a lot.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Thanks,
everybody.
This has been Strong Principles.